is Robert again. This is going to be the second video that I'm posting on here. A big topic that keeps coming up is fatherhood, like biblical fatherhood. And you know, because we have a lot of people in our church too that grew up without a father, or if they did have a father in the house, he wasn't really emotionally involved at all. So that seems to be a big problem. So to start off, we know that there's a design to family that God created, which is father, mother, and children. Okay, no matter how offensive that is to someone, that's the truth, and it was God's design. Okay, and this can be found throughout the Bible. Fatherlessness is rampant in our society in America. What I take it back to is 1962, or around that time frame, which is also the time when we pushed God out of the schools, out of the government. There was a big push to remove him. We started believing the lie that there's a separation between church and state, which isn't in the Constitution. You won't find it in the Constitution. Anyway, that's not the topic, so we're going to carry on. So what we had during that generation was the baby boomers. They were that were in school, and they were being taught existentialism, which is going after your own thing, or individualism, your free will, and that there's no need for God. You can do it on your own. And then they also were the ones that were preaching free love and no strings attached kind of love, kind of relationships. So this is when Jezebel's spirit woke up and saw that it had a huge opportunity to go ahead and attack. So we get this lie that we call women's liberation or feminism. This lie that feminism means a woman should do exactly what a man does in order to be worth something. Women think that's something to be proud of, and what it's doing is making you sound like just being a woman isn't enough, which nobody's ever said that. It's a lie that was started amongst the whole women's liberation thing. Okay? It's a lie that there's no need for men, that you have no need for a man, which is very untrue. You don't hear a man say, I don't have no need for a woman, unless they're mad at a woman or was left by a woman and they're just angry for some reason. You don't hear that. And that they also lie that God's design is chauvinist somehow. That nullifies the Bible for them. They think now, it must have been written by some man that was angry at women. Okay, which isn't true. That can be a whole nother topic there, that the inerrancy of the Bible. Okay. And also during that time in school, during this baby boomer generation, they were taught that there was no need for the boys, that the women didn't have any need for that. Jezebel just blew up all across America. Then my generation, Generation X, and what we see is even more fatherlessness. And so many people are educated in that generation and never did anything with it. They didn't have any guidance from a father figure. So you end up with all these educated males that are seeking male approval and encouragement from another male, and if they didn't have any other place to find it, and in some situations, they find it in gangs. So you have all these educated criminals now, without fathers, no one to guide them. Okay, and then from that generation, what we get from continuing to teach women that they have no need for men, sex with no strings attached, now we have millennial generation. They want to believe that anything passes as a parent. Who are we to judge? Doesn't matter who. Even if a brother and sister get married and have a baby, who are we to judge? This generation, they really will say that. Because they don't want to be trapped in being some kind of bigot or being judgmental. So they'll say things like that. Or if a woman wants to marry her tree and both of them try to raise a child, then who are we to say they can't? Okay, look, there was a study that I seen where they had the top complaints in public schools that teachers had for the students back in 1962. And they were talking, chewing gum, making noise in class, running in the halls, skipping in line, wearing improper clothing, and not putting trash in the wastebaskets. Then, in 1981, which is 19 years later, the top complaints were rape, robbery, assault, burglary, arson, bombings, murder, suicide, vandalism, extortion, drug and alcohol abuse, gang warfare, pregnancy, abortion, and venereal disease. And that's still continuing on, just getting, since 1981. It wasn't just that year. Okay? Like I said, what changed back then? We started to make a decline. And there's even charts that show that climate type disasters, geological disasters, financial disasters started to increase at that point in time. Because we pushed the Heavenly Father out of our lives. Just like many families are pushing the father out of their lives. Or men aren't manning up and being the father. Well, as you're reading Ephesians chapter 6, which I'm going to put below or up here in one of these corners, these words, they were inspired for the one who is ultimately responsible for the instruction and discipline. He doesn't say teachers are responsible, not the youth pastor, not your coach, not even mom. And by the way, what we hear a lot is women saying, oh, I'm the mom and dad. Because dad wasn't around, dad left, so my mom had to be the mother and the father. That's not true. Stop saying that. All you're doing is continuing that lie and putting this garbage in your children's head that they have no need for a man. You may have done it all on your own, but you did it as a mother. You didn't do it as a mother and a father. Only a man can be a father. I don't care if that offends you. It's the truth. It's God's truth. Only a man can be a father. If you had to do it, if you were forced to do it on your own, you didn't do it as a man and a woman. You just did it as a woman. As an overworked woman, probably, more than likely. Right? He said fathers. See, we men are also taught by these public schools to chase our dream, to be successful, to see the world, go out and save and invest, be rich, get yours. These are all lies. God didn't tell you to do that. God never said to go out and put yourself first. What will it profit a man to gain the whole world but lose his soul, lose his family, lose his children? There's no profit in that. That doesn't bring happiness. That's not success. That's not true success. True success is living and following and doing what the Lord created you to do. See, the duty of the dad is to give instructions, to guide your children, because these babies are not grown, they're not born understanding what life's challenges are, what dangers are out there. They're not born understanding how to do this and that on their own, how to be a man, or what a man is. They're not born understanding Jesus Christ. That's your job to teach them. So look at all these boys that we have out there now, gangbanging, jacking people, rioting for no good reason, just to make a noise, just to be heard. They're throwing tantrums. They're out there throwing tantrums because they never had that guidance from a real man. They never saw what was important. They were told that their own feelings are the most important. So that's why we have a bunch of grown people out there throwing tantrums in the streets. So when does it end? How do we end that? Those of us that are trying are labeled bigots or male chauvinists or sexist, misogynists. If we try to be a man and work even double shifts or 2 jobs to support our family so that mom can stay home and nurture the children, then we're barked at. We're asked questions like, why won't you let her work? Why do you keep her trapped in the house? Is that how you treat women barefoot and pregnant? He never said that. Man is trying to do what God called him to do and be the father and be the provider. That's what it takes to man up. Even if people are going to call you these names or are going to say that you're a male chauvinist pig and all of this, you still have to follow after God's design, not what society is crying about. Okay, because see, the fathers like this, they don't do that for a reward because they're not going to get that more than likely. They're not going to get that. They're going to be appreciated by their wives and by their children, maybe in the church. But in society, they're going to be called names. They're going to be frowned upon. Okay. See, because we have to teach them understanding and wisdom. We have to do that. to teach them the wisdom, because they're not going to get it anywhere else. They're not going to get it out there in the world, in that secular world. They're not going to get it in public schools, because the beginning of all wisdom and understanding is the fear, reverence of the Lord. So how can they gain wisdom on their own out there? Hanging out with other people their age, learning from people their age. Because that's basically what our public schools are. You have one teacher in charge of 30, 40 other kids, but they're going to get more influenced by these other teenagers, by these other children, than they are any adults, especially their parents. See, now I know some of you didn't have that example. You didn't have a father in the house. You didn't have a father always there teaching you. But you can't stay stuck with that excuse. You can't stay stuck in that hole. Not when you have access with the Bible and the Word of God and churches and godly wisdom out there and your pastors and brothers. Not when you have that wisdom from the ultimate Father. Fathers should be the primary instructors and molders in the household. Okay, but not just for our boys, but for our daughters as well. They need our example just as much. You know, see, dads are the measuring stick that our daughters are going to compare these stanky, nasty boys out there to. What do they see in you? Or do they see dad always cussing and drinking and going out and coming home early in the morning or in the middle of the night and talking bad about mom, or putting mom down, or hitting mom? Does she see that? Because then she'll think that that's what she deserves, or that's okay to find a man like that. Or is she seeing you put God first, and then your wife, and loving her and honoring your wife? If she sees that, that'll be the bare minimum of what she accepts. Be the man you want your daughter to marry. The kind of man, in the very least, that you want your daughter to marry. Also be the man that you want your sons to be. The way you want them to treat their wives and their children. See, like I said, I wasn't always a good father. I mean, to some standards, my children and people say, yeah, you were a good father, but I wasn't a biblical father, is what I mean. There were a lot of distractions, and I don't mean to call my military career a distraction, but I was also after a lot of other selfish things. I left it up to the schools to teach my kids, which is a big mistake. And I'm paying for it now because it's hard to catch up when your children are a little bit more grown, or they're already in college, and then you start trying to teach them biblical ways. Oh, when they're in college, it's a lot worse, because they just assume the professor's smarter than you are. But they're not. They're not wiser, for one thing. Not when you believe in God. See, but this is what it means to be a father. When you come home tired and worn out, and your toddlers and the little ones come running up, screaming your name, excited, happy, dancing around, screaming, wanting to get picked up. Don't miss out on that chance, because soon they're going to be grumpy teenagers with their heads stuck in a phone, or calling you judgmental, or asking you why this, why can't I do that? All my friends do it. I'm warning you out of experience. They become teenagers. But see, the little ones, they don't know that you're tired. They don't understand that. They just know that it's been forever since you've been gone. That you haven't been home in forever. Even if it's only been an 8-hour shift, to them it feels like forever. Okay? And all they know is that daddy's home now. That their Superman is home. They have complete faith in their father's strength. They think dad knows everything. Dad is the strongest person in the world. And I always remember that your hobbies or things that you're into, the way you want to unwind, or your own personal time, is going to be there later on. It's always going to be there. But the little ones, they grow up, like I said. And as teenagers, when they get to high school, when they go away to college, they're going to rob them of that faith in dad's strength, in dad's wisdom. They're not going to think about the thousands of times that you scooped them up, that you picked them up and tossed them in the air, or swung them around in circles, or hugged them when they were hurt or scared. They're going to think about the few times that you didn't pick them up because you were too tired, or you told them to go over there because you need personal time, or you need to unwind, or you're angry because you smashed your thumb with a hammer. They're going to think about those times. Times you didn't make it to a game, or you didn't make it to their dance, or whatever it is. The devil will bring these things forward in them. He's always been after the family, attacking the family. He's not going to stop with you. But if you put God first and you teach your children faith in God, and that your strength and your faith comes from God, then they have a weapon against the enemy. So we got to be godly men and displaying those virtues of faith, love, perseverance, and gentleness. Okay? Don't get caught up again, like I told you, don't get caught up chasing that American dream. Because then your kids are going to want to chase that American dream. And today's American dream is fame by any means necessary. And you don't want your children caught up in that. Okay? So instead, let them see you chase after God. After God's heavenly vision for you. And like we learn in 1 Chronicles 7, chapter 7, we learn that God calls us to exemplify certain principles. Principles being a man of character. And character is built by the things that you've gone through, the suffering that you've had, the hard times, and what you've survived, and what you've learned from them. Your history, okay? And to be a courageous warrior. That putting God first and your family before yourself. To be a competent leader, gaining wisdom from the Word of God. And being the head of your household. See, yeah, in this generation and in the last few generations, they may have made fathers insignificant. They may have made them look out to be useless. But in the Word of God, fatherhood is a high and holy calling for all men. And it's a position held up in honor in the truth. Fathers, remember to love and to teach your children. Love your wife. Don't expect great things out of them if you haven't taught them about great things. If you haven't shown them that God can accomplish great things. And encourage your daughters in purity. Teach them that it's okay to be a woman. To be ladylike. That being a woman doesn't mean that you're weak. That doesn't mean that you have to try and be more manly or to do exactly what a man does in order to be accounted for something. Staying home and taking care of your children means that you're dumb and weak. Because that's not the truth. And that's not what men think. Real men anyway. Being a mother is a place of honor too. Raising your children. Managing a household. It's like managing a business. It's nothing easy. And encourage your boys in manhood and faith. How to be men. And that it is perfectly fine and it's expected of them to be men. To be manly. Because today's society is going to teach them to be kind of soft. Okay? And meekness in the Bible, when that's a quality for a man, does not mean weak or soft or wimpy. That's not what meek means. Meek means humble. That's it for today. And I know this video may have offended a lot of people. And it probably did, but that's okay. God's word offends. It's not my opinion. It's not what I think. This is what I get according to God's design. So if you're trying to argue with me, or if you're angry at me, it's not me you're arguing with. It's not me you're angry at. Because all I told you is the truth. Remember that I will be praying for you, and I ask that you pray for me. Remember to put God first. To read your Bible. I want to thank you for watching. God bless you.